Let's all grow together. So the Surface Pro 3 absolutely captured an abundant amount of attention for new consumers when it came to the Surface lineup. Since then, we haven't really seen a huge level of innovation put into a Surface product. Last year's model, we had the Surface Pro 7, which brought in a ton of complaints about the lack of the Thunderbolt 3. But this year, we get the Thunderbolt Port 4, which brings a whole new world of innovation and potential to the Surface Pro 8. Something we'll talk about a little bit later in the video, but right now I want to talk about the very oldest technology on the Surface lineup. Pixelsense is actually the name that originated when it comes to the Surface Pro. So Pixelsense was around before Surface Pro was ever even thought of, right? So initially Samsung and Microsoft were collaborating together in order to create a touchscreen technology for the SUR40, which was a touchscreen table, multiple users could interact on. And literally it had 4 legs, or it'd be put on a picture frame. It's 40 inches wide, like a big screen TV would be, or biggish screen TV today. But you get my gist. And so they actually created the very first device called the Pixelsense with the Surface 1.0, and then they had Surface 2.0 technology being like the software that was inside of it, and released that. And when that failed, then finally they came out with a Surface device. Shake it on out. This is actually a paper wrap to keep things more eco-friendly, and they didn't stop there. Started using the more cheaper and efficient recycled aluminum to make things more eco-friendly, being a big reason we have an increase to our weight, but for some reason no decrease to our price. With wait times under a second, it's a breeze to get this thing started. I literally slap my headphones on with one press of a button. They're already synchronized. Flip open my screen, and Windows Hello infrared camera already recognizes me and logs me in. Snapping the arc mouse into place gives me an instantaneous synchronization, reducing the time it takes to set up my PC, not to mention the power efficiency that it brings to the table. When I'm utilizing the Surface Pro X keyboard, I can't feel a big difference in between the Signature Pro. I do love this keyboard. It snaps in and out of place very fast, and is by far the very best keyboard that I've ever used on a 2-in-1 device. Hovering over the icon that allows you to minimize and maximize your screen now gives you the ability to break down programs into multiple different displays, making multitasking a breeze. Signature Pro keyboard gives you the ability to charge your S Pen 2.0 on the go. SlimPen 2.0 has been an absolute amazing experience. Simply press the eraser button to add to the ease of access by opening up the Expo board when you want to take notes. On top of that, you can get 3 months free subscription to Adobe Fresco whenever buying a Surface Pro 8. So after using Adobe Fresco, I was actually inspired to draw a lot. And I've never been a person to draw. I don't really like the way paper feels. I never really felt like I could get an actual real life experience in drawing unless I was utilizing paper. But using the Surface Pro 8 to draw with Adobe Fresco has been an amazing turn of events, because honestly I feel like there's not even a competition when it comes to using a graphite pencil and a piece of paper compared to utilizing Adobe Fresco alongside the SlimPen 2.0, which is just 3 grams over the average 6 to 10 grams a graphite pencil weighs. This has been a very smooth and delicate process. I've enjoyed it very much. One of the issues that I have had is using haptic feedback. The Surface Pro 8's expandable storage option isn't the traditional storage option you would think of, like with the phone where you add a 128 gigabyte SD card and you get an extra 128 gigabytes of storage. With the Surface Pro 8, you actually have to remove your internal solid state drive, which is currently running your operating system, save all your data so you don't lose it, and then reinstall a brand new operating system into your solid state drive. So here we get to see the first ever thermal cooling dissipation system, a 10-year-old technology that's been around in almost every single computer that Microsoft finally was able to make thin enough to put in the Surface Pro 8, and they threw an extra little twist on the name to make it unique, as well as added some graphite plates to make it singular as far as that version of the thermal cooling system goes. So this isn't new like this year, this is just new to the Surface Pro. One thing that they've always done right is create a charger. The magnetic clip. So when I grab this out of the box, I feel this 891 gram solid, sturdy, durable, flawless looking 2-in-1 device that is pound for pound arguably the very best 2-in-1 device ever built as far as performance goes. Now, there are some drawbacks which I'm going to get into later in the video if you guys want to get super geeky. Surface Pro 8 has a 13-inch display, which for the first time ever is using Dolby Vision's high-definition recording technology. Add in the Flow Touch technology and we'll be able to reach a 120 Hz refresh rate, something that we rarely see outside of gaming-grade laptops. Don't get it confused, just because we see this inside of gaming-grade laptops doesn't mean this is a gaming-grade 2-in-1 tablet. Thanks to the long-anticipated addition of Intel's Thunderbolt port, we can see 7320 by 4680p achieved at 60 Hz thanks to DisplayPort 1.4. If you guys want to check out the processor specs, I just went ahead and dropped the links in the description below to Intel's specification page on each processor, both the i5 and i7 core processors for the Surface Pro 8. The problem that I have with the screen is the fact that it was built as a mobile device, yet with no glare technology inside of it or just a simple film that goes over the LCD panel, we're not going to be able to look at our screen while we're on the go! This is a device that was built for mobility, but you're also going to be deprived of the ability to connect to a mobile network! This is one of my biggest complaints when it comes to the Surface Pro 8. In 2022, we'll see the business lineup roll out with LTE Advanced, which is Microsoft's way of saying we're going to have 4G, but we're going to name it LTE Advanced, which is actually a name for it, because we don't want to let our consumers know, or business consumers, know that we're not going to put 5G in it. It's like 4.5G is like what people would more commonly refer to it as it is a step up from 4G, but it's definitely not 5G. So it just really baffles me to think that there's so many different things that Microsoft has released on this, and other than the haptic feedback, you know, via tactile signals going to the SlimPen 2.0 and the dual Farfield studio mics, there really isn't anything new or innovative. Like, in even the newest and most innovative technologies that are out there, Microsoft has failed to adopt. But at least there's the Surface Connect that they got right.
I can honestly say, out of every device I've ever owned, the Surface magnetic charger is the best. Not in terms of charging speed,
reliability, ease of connection, and the Surface Pro charger,
which increases the lifespan of your PC by preventing
damage to your internal power supply. And as a tech, I've seen this all too often. So many different times the customers came to me because they simply just tripped over their cable, and their lifespan of their PC would have absolutely been depleted if they hadn't been able to get it fixed.
Intel's Thunderbolt port.
With both Thunderbolt 3 and Thunderbolt 4, we can see data transfer rates at up to 40 gigabytes per second. The big diversification in between the two, however, is Thunderbolt 4 can transfer data bidirectionally, whereas Thunderbolt 3 can only do that unidirectionally, which means to you can both upstream and downstream your data now. That's the ability to use our external SSD on par with the speeds of our internal SSD for the very first time. The potential to actually run gaming grade performances with a 2-in-1 device, which is something that we have never seen before. The problem that I have with that is Intel states specifically on their website the minimum data requirements for PCIe devices is 32 gigabytes per second. So Intel just assumes that you would understand what is Peripheral Component Interconnect Express. Good thing you came to Simplified by Dylan's channel. Let me help. So this is simply the data transfer rate within your computer. It's pretty simple to understand, honestly. If you think about your internet connection, for example, how many gigabytes per second do you get? If you get 30, that would be the exact same speed that they're referring to, only it's on an internet connection via a cable or wirelessly. And throughout the inside of your computer, there's different peripherals, like your solid state drive, your RAM, maybe a card in there that will help you connect to Wi-Fi, etc. And so that's what they mean when they're referring to the PCIe data requirement. If you guys want to do some more research on your own, I would highly suggest going out to check TrentonSystem.com. In addition, we're going to need to take into consideration the minimum and maximum wattage. A 4K monitor at 60 Hz or two 4K monitors at 30 Hz will require a 15 watt power output to a single Thunderbolt port board. And to achieve the minimum, just the minimum, you're going to need a 7.5 watt power output to a single monitor to get that 4K resolution at 30 Hz. Okay, so here we have Intel's website stating that the maximum performance for each one of these ports, which are going to be displayed, need to meet these minimum PC data requirements. As As you can see, the 32 gigabytes per second is listed, the 15 watts to show you the power outage is listed. And this is just to give you confirmation. If you want to find the link, it's in the description below. You can check it out yourself. Right of me is a video that will actually display the maximum TDP of this device from Microsoft's own engineers via the Microsoft Mechanics channel on YouTube.
Surface Pro 8's new design now supports up to 23 watt TDP, a first for the Pro line.
So with a 23 watt TDP, what that means to you is, if you have a Surface Pro 8, that your thermal design power is only intended to reach 23 watts. Anything beyond that, the operating system is going to shut it down, or it's going to start throttling different programs that are not as, high in priority, to ensure that, you can run your stuff right in the foreground, and Microsoft can still run its programs in the background. But no matter what happens, it only allows 8 extra watts if you're using one Thunderbolt port 4 at the maximum potential. So that's 15 watts, and then the remainder being 8 watts to reach that 23 watt cap. So you can use just over a half a watt extra if you use half of the other Thunderbolt port 4. So you got 15 watts for one port, and you got another one, it's 7.5 watts if you want to run, like, let's say a 4K monitor at 30 hertz, right? And so that will put you at 22.5 watts, right? Just a half a watt under, the maximum TDP. But now you got to take into consideration, you need your operating system to run, and that's going to take watts. You know what I mean? It's going to take watts to output signal to your, your Bluetooth connected devices. Like I have behind me, I got the Surface headphones, I got the Surface Pen 2.0, the regular Surface Pen. I mean, there's so many other things that are going to be needed to take into consideration. So you need more like, 100 watt. To be able to really reach the full potential of the Thunderbolt port 4s. That's why it says it's a minimum requirement to reach the maximum potential on Intel's website. And I dropped that link in the description below as well. Any means trying to knock the Surface Pro 8. The device behind me arguably has the most power ever seen in a 2-in-1 device. But I'm just trying to elaborate and make sure there's a little bit more transparency when it comes to, these things that companies advertise that are literally, they're white lies, right? Or you can call them cons. Because if I sent you a Ferrari right now that didn't have an engine in it and you paid full price for it, you would feel as if you got conned. But the thing is that I told you I'm selling you a Ferrari, you bought the Ferrari at full price, and it just doesn't have the capabilities you thought it was going to have. Just like when Microsoft said they had 2 Thunderbolt port 4s on their Surface Pro 8, you guys thought you were going to be able to utilize 40 gigabytes per second on each one of those Thunderbolt port 4s, but that's not the case. And so it's very similar to a con.
I do have a lot of good things to say about the dual Farfield studio mics. Let me tell you what, these things are absolutely amazing, and I'm just going to simplify the whole process of learning this.
Look, I thought I'd go back to where it all started, right? Right here, where I started streaming. When I started streaming, I had a big nemesis that would just be a pain in my every time I was trying to stream. I was a gamer, right? I'm playing, but it wasn't a gamer that was my nemesis. It wasn't a clan that was my nemesis. It wasn't a team that was my nemesis. It wasn't even a troll in my chat that was a nemesis. It was that damn air conditioner right there. I'll tell you what, drove me nuts. Every time I'm trying to give a good old audio quality experience to the viewers while I'm streaming, I'd have this thing just killing it all. So I thought this would be the perfect time to show you guys the most amazing innovation that Microsoft has ever brought to a Surface device, the dual Farfield studio mics. Silence. What? I know, right? There's so many people that need this. This is like the best technology ever.
Explain how that works. The dual Farfield mics aren't actually both picking up your voice. One mic is going to pick up your voice. The other one is just a sensor to detect sound behind you. Therefore, it can reduce that sound. All this sound coming in, it just deletes it straight from the video that you're recording. You can actually see in this portion of the video an animated version of what it looks like inside the Surface Pro 8 while the current thermal cooling solution is in motion, and how that kind of works, which has provided a whole world of new innovations for the Surface Pro lineup. Surface Pro 8, we have LPDDR4x Ram instead of the traditional DDR4 RAM. So with DDR4 RAM, we're going to see a max speed at 3200 hertz, as to where with the minimum speed of LPDDR4x Ram,
we're gonna see 3200 hertz. The crazy part is it's utilizing the speeds of DDR4 RAM max at half the voltage, 0.6 volts, whereas DDR4 RAM uses 1.2 volts. If you boost up the LPDDR4x Ram to 1.1 volts, the max volts, you can see speeds over 4200 hertz. This is a 1000 hertz increase opposed to the DDR4 maximum capabilities. Although it's worth noting that with overclocking and boosting, you have been able to achieve speeds up to like 4000 hertz with DDR4 RAM. Now, that's not something that ever happens efficiently, and just like you could probably boost the LPDDR4x RAM up, but it's not going to happen efficiently either. Alright, so this program is called Automate, and it's pretty awesome. You can do a lot of different things with it. You can basically tell your computer, look, I want to do this, and then show a process, like maybe you want to move a whole bunch of files, like, or in my case, just get ready for schoolwork. This is a free software within Windows 11 that is absolutely amazing. It can save you a lot of time as well as make you a lot of money if you know what you're doing. So earlier I was talking about how it was really something that I didn't feel as far as the tactile signals via the haptic feedback motor within the stylus pen, as well as the multiple sensors that work in accordance with the Microsoft's G6 processor. So it's a kind of complex situation to provide haptic feedback, and I guess they're having some issues with it on the software end, because I definitely don't really feel it even at 100% sensitivity. Like once in a while I'll feel a faintest feeling of it. They have it set by default to 50%. I ran some tests on the computer, ran the Surface application, which kind of tests all the functionality, and it did say that there was some issues with the firmware as far as my touchscreen went. So I don't know if that would include the haptic feedback, but I'm sure like in the future this will be better. Either way though, I did love the SlimPen 2.0. It was an amazing experience to say the least. About Wi-Fi 6 versus the Wi-Fi 5 and a debatable upgrade. 3.2 gigabytes per second you get with the Wi-Fi 5, but the new Wi-Fi 6 on the Surface Pro 8, you're gonna get 9.6 gigabytes, something that you'll never utilize unless you're trying to download something from a USB that's literally connected to your router. I really just can't stand the fact that everything on the Surface Pro 8 is not the bleeding edge of technology, like Wi-Fi 6E that's going to be out and has 6 gigahertz band that has 1600 channels inside of it, giving you network latencies 2 to 6 milliseconds. What? That's an amazing amount of speed right there. Nobody really realizes how fast that is. Like if I get 1 gig or 1 megabyte down per second, I'm gonna transfer data at 100,000 times the rate you will get at Gigablast using Wi-Fi 6. So it's just such a big a disappointment to see that there's not this integrated inside of, guess what? The most expensive 2-in-1 device. It's supposed to be portable, but doesn't have a portable LTE connection. And when it does get one for business, it's just gonna be 4G. Nothing in this thing says cutting edge, but your pocket, oh boy, they're gonna say cutting edges for sure. Cutting the edges right out your pocket so your money can drop for what? Nothing. It's not fair, honestly. There's some cool things about it, but let's just go over the recap real quick and see the pros and cons that you're getting out of the device so we can end this video.
Alright, so I'm not going to read over all of these. You can just take a screenshot and read them later. I'm also going to show real quick the read and write speeds of the solid state. So another YouTuber that got like 30,000 views on his video already had used Crystal Disk Mark. I'm not going to mention his name, but I used the same benchmark, and he forgot to put the NVMe in there, which reduced the write speeds by like 600 and the read speeds on the second test. So the other day I had someone tell me that he knew for sure because a YouTuber had already proved it on YouTube. Just because you're on YouTube doesn't mean your facts are straight. I see the news that have millions of dollars get wrong all the time. People say things specifically wrong because they want to get more attention, right? And so I try to give you guys all the exact specifications. If you guys find me slipping up, let me know in the comments so you can find out where most of the sources are for all the information that I gathered and gave to you in this video, which is a lot, so I couldn't fit all the links there. That's why I added the surface.sbd.how link that's right here, because this is the website that I'm going to be putting everything on, as it won't fit in my description. I hope y'all have a blessed day, and I'm out.